But on the inside, I just was crumbling. It wasn't filling my cup. I was working very long days. I was exhausted at the end of the day, and the stress was mounting up. But for me, I also, with meditation, quiet my ego. Now I've become so much better at recognizing that voice because I know that the ego voice is so much louder than the
Right.
voice of my intuition or what's best for me.
Have you ever felt like the stress of life is wearing you down, leaving you feeling disconnected from your health and happiness? Well, today's guest, Emily Clark, knows exactly what that feels like, and more importantly, how to turn it all around. With a background in speech language pathology and years of experience in home health, Emily left a thriving career to dive headfirst into a mission of preventive care and holistic healing. Amen. From understanding the mind-body connection to incorporating meditation and Eastern philosophy, Emily is on a mission to help you reclaim your vitality. Stick around as we explore how stress affects pain, the secrets behind her transformational coaching, and the surprising truth about how simple changes can make a profound difference in your life. Hey, welcome back to the I Am Pain Free podcast. This is your host, Rob Renee, and I have got a great guest on today. We have Emily Clark on today. How are you, Emily?
I'm doing great, Rob. Thanks for having me today. How are you?
Yeah, I am super well. I'm excited to have a conversation. I love people who are doing what you're doing. Would like to just have you explain a little bit more about your background. How'd you get to doing what you are doing today?
So I am degreed in speech language pathology, and that's fancy terms for speech therapists. But for the majority of my career, I had spent time in home health.
Okay.
And how I ended up here on the Pain Free podcast is every clinician in home health has to evaluate a patient's pain, their pain level, because it's very personal. And in America, if you're tuning in the States, pain is considered the fifth vital sign. So it has to be assessed every single visit, every single time, whether it's in addition to blood pressure, pulse, oxygen, temperature. Pain is the fifth vital sign. But how I really got started doing what I do now is in healthcare, I was killing it at my job. I was doing so great. I was well respected in my career, respected in my organization. I had a company car. I was taking on the toughest patients. I even had surgeons call me back. And if you've ever met surgeons, that's not a small feat because they don't call anybody back personally. But I had one surgeon that I worked with that would actually call me back and talk to me and speak to me on the phone. But on the inside, I just was crumbling. It wasn't filling my cup. I was working very long days. I was hardly ever home. I was short with my family because I was exhausted at the end of the day and the stress was mounting up. And I just realized, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? And so I knew I had to make some changes and make a shift because the stress was starting to kill me. I had been a yoga instructor for a little while, and I decided to look deeper into more of Eastern philosophy and Eastern healing. And so yoga is a huge part of my background, but I also dug deep into meditation and really started developing a meditation practice. And that's been instrumental and key in my life in reducing the stress. I've also looked at different ways that people live, different lifestyles, such as blue zones, if you've ever heard of those.
Yeah.
I think what a great way to live, and we could adopt more of that lifestyle here. But I also looked into Eastern healing modalities like the chakras and Reiki, and I also saw a correlation with my home health patients when I was with them in relation to some of this Eastern healing. And we can talk more about this.
Yeah, no,
that's how I really got into founding my business and making lifestyle changes. And now, instead of being on the intervention side, I'm more on the preventative side where I really want to be and feel like I can make a huge difference.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, some sounds we have a lot of parallels in our stories in the respect that just that you can see when I was doing research on the healthcare industry and what was happening, it was just really frustrating to me because I could see how many people were in pain, right? And that was like millions
Mm-hmm.
of people, and almost 50% of our, at least the stats say, 50% of our seniors that have some type of pain or chronic pain. It's just really
Yes.
bad, and it's
Yes.
just
In fact,
like there's
pain is the
something wrong.
number one reason for hospitalization in the US.
Right. So it's
You
a
can't
huge
avoid it.
problem, right? So it's like, how do we help people get them so they're not in pain? And then it's really frustrating to look at how people are treated in Western medicine, just because it's more of a pill for an ill thing rather than trying to prevent it like you're working on. So I have a very big passion as well, like you, is let's get people healthy, or if they do have pain, let's figure out what the source of that pain is and help them reduce the pain and hopefully eliminate it. But then let's help other people prevent from getting there, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
exciting.
mostly work with people who've had such built up stress. So we know our bodies harbor stress and hold stress. So I've worked with it on the physical side, whether it was in home health or yoga, or I deal with it in the energetic and emotional side with meditation and coaching.
Yeah, it's amazing how important your mind is. I always talk about mind, body, spirit because we are a combined
Hmm.
entity, and that your mind is so powerful that it can really be a negative factor in your health, or it can be a positive factor in your health if you train it right. So it's really interesting with your background. You probably know that better than anybody, right? Being your training and what you've done with your degree, but then also how many years were you helping people in home care?
I was in home care for 7 years.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a long time. So I'm sure
yeah.
you saw lots and lots of patients. And how long have you been doing your new gig?
So I've been in doing my new gig and on the preventative
That's
side
probably
for
not a great
about
way to
three
say.
years now.
Okay.
Yeah, the new gig.
I like it. I like it. I bet that's been a really fun transformation for you to start helping people do preventative stuff, right? Just because it
Yes.
seemed to be the satisfaction. I don't know. I find that really satisfying. How have you liked that transition? How's it been for you?
You know what? I love it. I work with people at the beginning and I see them and they feel sad. Their shoulders are hunched, head held down, the sad look on their face. And then by the time we're done and they're ready to graduate, they sit up straight. They have a smile on their face. They have excitement. They have vitality in their life again. And that is what I want to see when I work with somebody who's excited to live.
Yeah, that's awesome because it is so sad when you are in pain, or just in bad health. You have a grumpy attitude and you don't feel well, and a lot of people don't. That's a lot of people get into depression and other types of
Hmm.
issues because of their bad health. So let's help people understand how to get well and get healthy.
Yeah. And it's funny that you brought up depression because depression and pain often go together.
Yeah,
They often
right,
go together because
right.
if you are depressed, you're less likely to get up and move. And the more you sit, the more atrophy builds up in your muscles. And this is a very medical model, but also depression, if you look at it from the Eastern side, it means you're not following your intuition.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. I think that's so important to get people to realize that, right, and have them understand that they can have a real impact and control on their mental state and mental ability. I come think at a lot of this from a faith-based perspective because but that's my approach. But I love to just listen to other people and how you're helping people and what approaches you have and what you find is working. I think that's really important.
Yeah, so when I was studying yoga and meditation and Reiki, they all come back to this energetic teaching of what we call the chakras. And I have noticed, so if you're unfamiliar with the chakras, it's an ancient teaching of energy. And so you have
Right.
these balls of energy up and down your spine called nadis. And that's where you see in some of the stores or books where you have the person sitting and they have the balls of energy that are the rainbow going up. And each ball of energy represents something different. At the bottom, at the base of your spine, you have your root chakra, which is your sense of safety, feeling grounded, feeling secure. And then at your sacrum or just below your belly button, that's your sacral chakra. And that's your creativity, sexuality. And then you have your solar plexus chakra right at your solar plexus. Imagine that. But then that's your sense of self-confidence and empowerment and joy and happiness. And I always find it ironic that we consider the peak of physical health six-pack abs. That's where that chakra is located. There's also the heart chakra, which of course is love and compassion. There's the throat chakra at your throat, which relates to communication, both speaking and listening. And then there's the third eye located right between your eyebrows, and that has to do with your intuition. And then at the top of your head or the crown of your head is the crown chakra, and that's your connection to your divine self or divine being. And so each of these, in Eastern healing, they believe if there's a block in one of these chakras, that's where the physical ailment begins.
Yeah, because I've interviewed a number of practitioners who've studied Western medicine and Eastern medicine, as well as other just all types of modalities to help people. Fun to listen to the different thought processes and the ways that they help people, because there's so many different ways that we can help people understand their body, right, and understand what's going on. And the research that I've done personally was just fascinating to me about how the human body is so complex, right? It is so amazing that God made this body that is wonderfully complex and is made up of energy, right? So there is literally no debating whether or not our body is made up of energy or not, because it is, right? It is very well.
And science proves it.
Yeah, science proves it. There's no denying that. So then it got really fascinating to me as I was researching it. As you get down even to the cellular level of the body, our cells interact with each other via vibration, or AKA frequencies, right? So even all the way down to the cellular level. So energy and frequencies are super important to the human body, regardless of what you call it, right? Or you call it a chakra. And I'd love that there's lots of discussion and lots of modalities and lots of healing abilities with Eastern medicine, right? But I want some people who are Christian and faith-based just really have a hard time with yoga and with Eastern medicine, because they feel it's not Christian. And I don't disagree or agree with either of those. I just want people to understand our body is wonderfully and fearfully made, and it is made up of energy. And I want to understand how you help people, right? And so that's the whole idea. And for what I try to do is I'm trying to be open. I want to just understand and let you get your message out. How are you helping people? And you're helping people with Eastern medicine. Let's discuss what Eastern medicine is, right? How does that? You were in Western medicine too, right? So
I was in Western medicine too. And Western medicine, I'll be very clear, still has its place in this world.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing what it can do, and it performs miracles every day at every second. I will not deny that.
Yeah,
I wanted to be on the preventative side.
Yeah, I think that's what's so important, because Western medicine has very clearly been, unfortunately, taken over from the perspective that it's every specialist is so narrowly defined that they don't look at the body as a whole. And there's very few people that do that anyway in Western medicine.
There's internal medicine doctors and family medicine doctors who look at you as a whole, and then they refer on.
Yeah, so it's exciting for me to talk to people like you who are looking at the whole body and how do we help people prevent things. So explain a couple of your success stories or some of your favorite patients, or want to talk about how you've helped some people.
So ironically, the majority of my clients, you'll never believe this, they're all healthcare providers.
I love it. I love it. That's
You'd
great.
never believe it, but I think because I've been on that side and I find some relation to it. But what I think what attracts them to me is there's becoming more and more science behind,
Yeah,
especially meditation and how it can help us reduce our stress, help reduce
right.
anxiety, help reduce depression. And I know you're more faith-based, and faith is so important for people. I think we've stepped away from knowing that we are more than a
Yeah,
body,
yeah,
that we are a soul. We're a spiritual being having a human experience, and we
right.
are connected to that divine being, whatever you call it.
I
Whether
call it
you want to
something, you
call it,
may call it something different, and other people might
yeah,
call it something
yeah.
different. But yeah, as long as
And
people can help define that and understand that, then they'll know that they are a spiritual being and understand that. I
yes,
call it prayer. Meditation and prayer are similar to me in the respect. And I think that's just great that you're helping people with that, because there is a really important concept of having that conversation with, in my opinion, it's God, and having
yeah.
a conversation with that. And it's important for people to understand and get themselves outside of their own heads, and that there is somebody, another entity that can help them. I think it's
Yeah,
super
so I get
important.
asked a lot, and especially with family, because I live in the upper Midwest and it's still very traditional.
Right,
And not that there's anything wrong with that. I get asked a lot, why don't you just pray? Why don't you just pray? And for a long time, I did do that.
right,
I did pray. I prayed for an answer. This was my answer. Meditation has been such a gift for me to be quiet
right.
so that I can listen to what God has to say to me,
Yeah, yeah,
so that I
yeah.
can hear him answer my prayers.
There's one book that I read recently. It's called "It's Not Meant to Be a Secret," and I
Hmm.
love that. And the whole book's premise is about that you can have a conversation with God, and so I think it's exciting that you, just people need to stop, and they need to understand that that is possible, and the Bible even talks about it, and you can even have a relationship and conversation instead of a religion. It's a relationship with your
Yeah,
Creator. That's my perspective, but
having a two-way conversation with God.
yeah, yeah.
It'll change your life.
Yeah, it will. It will, and it's possible, and people need to understand that. And I'm fine if you don't agree. That's my opinion, and
Hmm.
I'm open to have my opinion. So,
That's
anyway,
right.
yeah, and I
That's
don't
right.
discount other people with their opinion. I'm fine with them having their opinion as well. But I just find it fascinating that you're doing that. It's great. And you're in the Midwest, a traditional area, and people, you're probably in a lot of Bible believing people around you that, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's talking about these things. But it's not, that's what I don't think there is a difference, in my opinion. We're basically saying the same thing. It's just maybe the definition is a little bit different, but I don't know what you think about that.
I'm sure you've seen with a lot of guests, as I just explained, like the chakra system and meditation and what you've
Yeah,
experienced, and with all your other guests, how there's always all these similarities that
right.
just show up.
Yeah.
And so they're all related. Maybe they're
Yeah.
all divinely related.
That's why I like to talk about it as, gosh, our bodies are complex, right? And it's this, in fact, I just saw a meme yesterday or the day before. It was just like all these body parts all on a big graph, and then it showed the veins, and it showed the nervous system, it showed all the complexity of the human body. It's just incredible, right?
Oh, our bodies are
And
amazing, and we
yeah,
take them for granted until
yes,
there's
it's so
something
easy.
wrong. Take them for
So
granted
true.
until there's something wrong.
Yeah,
And I want to be on the other side of that. So there may be the start of something going wrong, but I
yeah,
want you to be aware of that so that we can reverse it faster, easier,
yeah. I
versus
love that. I
a
love
lot of
that.
appointments, maybe a lot of prescriptions, maybe a surgery, maybe a lot
Yeah.
of physical therapy or occupational therapy. Not that they're not wonderful people. I've been there.
No. Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
was gonna say you did it for 7
yeah,
years, right?
I don't want to trash my cohorts there, but
Exactly. Exactly. But no, it's fun that you're now trying to help prevent people from getting there, because if we do it right, you can really prevent a lot of things. Do you do anything? Meditation, obviously, very important. Do you talk about nutrition or any other of those types of things that to help people, or do you typically just stick with, or what other things do you do?
so I have found that I usually stick with some meditation
Okay.
and more of the stress relieving part of it, and
Right.
all of a sudden people just automatically start making those lifestyle changes.
Awesome.
They want
Awesome.
to get up and go for a walk, or they put a project off for an hour and just take some time for themselves. Or I had one patient who she would get her family out the door, and before she would sit down at her desk, she'd lay down, she'd sit down or lay down and do a meditation for 15, 20 minutes before
Right.
she started her day. And that 15, 20 minutes helped her change her mindset, helped her change the energy she was bringing into sessions with her patients so
Awesome.
that she could make that transition smoothly and better serve her patients.
Yeah. Yeah. How neat is that? Yeah. I like that a lot. So tell me, what else is there, things that you would like to discuss about how you're helping people? This is fascinating.
Yeah, with meditation, if I could just make that shameless
Yeah, I
plug
would love
there,
to. Yeah, let's talk.
there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it, like that it's
Okay.
prayer, that it's chanting, you're channeling spirits. That is none of that. That is none of that. Meditation is meant to bring you to the present moment and to help you quiet your mind and observe your thoughts. I tried teaching it to a patient a few years ago, and he's, oh, yeah, I just can't clear my mind. I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point. You don't have to just clear your mind, but calm your mind, bring yourself to the present. And if you think a thought, observe it and let it go. Bring it back to, bring yourself back to that present moment. That's what meditation is. And you don't have to chant. You, if you have a favorite mantra, affirmation or mantra, you can say that over and over to yourself. Sometimes that can help you in a stressful um, period of your life. Um, but it doesn't have to be the traditional Eastern way. There's lots
Right.
of ways you can meditate.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that when I was doing research on energy in the human body, I bought these. I wonder if I have that in front of me. Oh yeah, I did. It's the Muse device. Have you ever seen the Muse device? So it's this Muse 2.
Oh, I've seen it
So
and heard of it. Never
yeah,
used
so
it though.
it just, you put it on your brain, and then it has programs that are meditation programs and other things that you can do, but it helps evaluate your brain waves and see how your brain reacts to certain things. So we have a pain patch that is part of one of my companies, and what's really interesting, when people are in pain, their brain is really active. So we use
It's
this
very
device
active.
to show it, and that you can see it being real active, and then you apply the patch, and all of a sudden you'll see the brainwaves start to level out, because their body's no longer in stress. So it's really cool to see that. But the same thing happens with meditation, is that you can change your brain pattern based
Hmm.
upon just slowing down and just and doing meditation like you had mentioned. So it's just fascinating to see that. And then they have programs that they can do that help people with an app and something that does different types of meditations and other things. I just thought that was fascinating. Talked about how you mentioned that you can call it what you want, but it doesn't have to be defined in a negative way. I think it's really
No, it's
important
all
to
your
give people.
perspective and your
Yeah,
experience. And it, most
right.
importantly, it has to work for you.
Yeah,
It doesn't have
right.
to work for me. It has to work for you.
That's right. That's right. It's got to be they have to own it, and they have to understand it themselves, because they're the ones
That's
who are
right.
dealing. It's their brain and their body and their spirit that are having that experience, and you're helping them get there. I like that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've experienced this in your journey, but for me, I also, with meditation, quiet my ego,
Yeah.
how I think things should be, how it's supposed to be. This is what I have to do. And listening to that voice of all the things you should, you need, you have to do can really create a lot of stress in your life.
Right.
And it certainly did in mine. And it led me down that dark hole. But now I've become so much better at recognizing that voice, because I know that the ego voice is so much louder than the
Right.
voice of my intuition or what's best for me.
Yeah, and yeah, mine is, I call it good and bad, and
Yeah.
I believe that there's a real spiritual battle in our world, and I believe there is a good and a bad conversation that happens a lot. Our minds and bodies are interact with that and have that you can say, hey, which one are you going to listen to? So
Yeah, kind of like the angel or the devil on your
yeah,
shoulder. The devil's
exactly.
going to be louder.
Yeah, and it's very
He's
easy to
going to do the
listen
most
to.
talking, but the angel
Right.
on your shoulders, they might be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more soft-spoken.
Right. When you can tune yourself into that, then that's you do make a major transformation. I think in my life, when I started reading the Bible every day and having a lot of prayer time and conversations, it's just so transformational. Myself and my mental capacity and mental health is that I was a lot less stressed and in tune to my body, and I was like, I stopped doing things that I had been doing. I think it's super important. Yeah, so I agree with you that did help me in my walk, is just having that conversation and slowing down and trying to listen to the voice of good, because it is important that you can have a glass half full or a glass half empty life. And if you
Hmm.
have a glass half empty life, you're going to be looking at things in a negative light almost all the time, and you give off negative vibes and negative connotations and just negative. End up being a negative person, and the
And
things
you're a
around
person
you.
nobody wants to be
Right.
around.
Right.
And then you become lonely, and then you
Yeah.
become depressed. And we talked about earlier how
Yeah.
depression can often lead to pain.
Yes. Yeah. So true. And so I love to say, hey, we need to work on our mental selves, and we need to work and have that positive mental attitude. I know it's a cliche, a lot of times people will say it, but it's hard to transition yourself to it, especially when you get accustomed to certain things and certain sayings, and it's like, oh, I need to stop saying that
Yes.
about myself, or I need to stop saying
Yes.
that about other people, and then just realize it. I think that's a really good way for when the people are going through this process to evaluate those thoughts. Say, is that a thought I should be thinking about this person? Even if somebody cuts you off in traffic, that happens all the time. It's like you get mad and you're just like,
What are you going to
or
do about it? It's
yeah,
over.
exactly. You're just going to say, does it really make a difference? Does it really make a difference? Probably not. So just
Yeah.
let it go and just have a positive thought about that rather than a negative thought. And that's really hard for 99% of the people, including me, right? I get mad occasionally driving with other people as well. But I've really done a good job of changing my mindset to say, okay, does it really matter? Do I really need to get mad because that person cut me off?
Yeah.
It's just
At
going
the
to
end
make
of the day, are
me,
you still going to be angry over it?
yeah, it's
A
just
lot of it
make
has to do with perspective.
right, makes myself stressed rather than, I'm doing myself no good whatsoever by doing that. Whereas if I can just let that go off of my body and just out of my body and just say, you know what, they must be having a bad day.
That's right. That's right. Send them some love, say a prayer, get
Right.
on with your day.
Yeah. And that
So,
really helps your mental attitude, doesn't it?
yes, it does. Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
When you talk about faith, too, those that live in blue zones who have longevity, who have quality of life, and who are healthy, faith is such a big part of that for them, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Those blue zones are really fascinating. I don't know, I think just a couple of days ago, I was listening to a program and they were talking about a lot of the blue zones are to where one, they have to walk, which is a move, but it's also elevation was one of the biggest factors in that they literally had to go up and down in elevation and to walk. It wasn't just a flat walk in most of the blue zones. And I thought that was fascinating that literally you need to
That
go
is
up
fascinating. That part I'd never
and down.
heard. I've always
Yeah,
heard
I
they
thought
move naturally. They
right.
take natural movements like gardening or walking or bicycling, but
Yeah.
yeah, walking or riding a bike at an elevation, going uphill, that's work.
Yeah, it is. And even walking uphill is work, right? So I
Yes,
haven't
it
seen the
is.
study, but I thought that was fascinating. And so I don't know if that's really true or if it's just something I heard on a show that was talking about blue zones. But I thought that was fascinating. It's like, oh, that's interesting. It's because you see a lot of the blue zones are in remote areas and or really different places. And if you look at the top topography of the place, it'd be interesting to see if they truly are places that have up and down for you to get to places, in addition to
Yeah.
the other things that we mentioned. But yeah,
In the Mediterranean area, they would have a lot of terrain up and
yeah,
down. So
yeah.
yeah, that area for sure.
So I thought that was fascinating. So I'm super excited about health in general. So I want people to understand that, man, this, make America healthy again. I don't care what political movement or stance you have. That doesn't matter. We need to get people healthy again, period. Let's make
Yes,
the
we
world
do.
healthy again.
Yes,
And
we do.
so
It's
I'm
a
excited
special
that you're,
mission.
yeah, I'm excited you're on this journey with me to help people get well. With your practice, how do you find new patients? What's your marketing approach? Or it sounds like you're getting a lot through, you mentioned, through other practitioners, which is fantastic. They're probably,
Yeah.
so is that how you're getting most of your patients?
Mostly I get it through word of mouth. I
Uh,
am on social media, but mostly it's word of mouth, and I let them come to me. So if someone is interested, I let them come to me because then I know they're interested. I don't like to put people under that pressure. There's
right.
enough pressure out there. I don't
True.
want you to feel pressured to start taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Come from an empowerment, I'm ready, I'm dedicated, I want to do this, not cowering, oh, I guess I better do it.
Right.
I
Right.
guess now's the time. It's more
Right.
like, now's the time. I'm ready.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So you can always follow me on Facebook and Instagram. That is
Okay.
Abundant Wellness with Emily. You can
Wellness with
find
Emily.
me at my website, and that is also abundantwellnesswithemily.com/home.
Okay.
And there you can get access to, I have a free ebook that you can have access to, and that is how to create everyday ease in 15 minutes or less, because we're all busy, but
Yes.
we can take 15 minutes sprinkled throughout the day to take care of ourselves to create more ease.
Awesome. So I'll make sure we have the links to that in the show notes so people can get access to that again. But just to say it one more time, if people were driving and want to write down that website, what is the website again?
It is abundantwellnesswithemily.com/home.
Okay. And they can find that free ebook. That's a
You
great
got it.
resource for people. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to spread the word.
Yeah, let's get people healthy. Emily, I really appreciate you being on the I Am Pain Free podcast. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate you for what you're doing and how you're helping people. And I just pray that people will find you and that they'll listen to this episode and they'll reach out to you and get your ebook. And then hopefully you can get an abundance of new patients through our episode.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be wonderful.
Great. Great. Where do you live? I don't think I even asked you that. I apologize.
I live in central Wisconsin. So,
Awesome.
ironically, too, I live in a smaller city, but it's
Okay.
known for its healthcare. Like, it's one of the largest healthcare systems in the state.
Oh, awesome.
So, we
Okay.
have the Trauma One, we have the only Trauma One center in central and northern Wisconsin. So, the medical helicopter goes in and out all the time.
Wow.
Um, they
Well,
have the
good.
largest NICU or one of the largest NICUs in the whole state here. And there's a research center. And in fact, I'm being part of a cancer prevention research study
Oh,
that just
exciting.
started.
Yeah.
They
Tell
asked
us
me if
more
I'd like
about
to be
that.
a participant. And I'm like, yeah, I want to participate in that.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me more about that. That sounds exciting.
Yes, so this is the CONNECT study, and it's through, I believe, the National Cancer Research Foundation or the American Cancer Society. I'm not sure which, but I just volunteered for it. They ask a whole bunch of questions about my ancestry, if I know it, sun exposure, the water I was drinking, if it was from a tap or from a
Mm,
well, or if I had it filtered. Let's see, what else did they ask? Oh, surgical procedures. Have I had children? how often I exercise, how I manage my stress, my working environment. They had a lot of really interesting questions on that
Yeah,
survey.
that's
And
good.
then I haven't done it yet, but I have to go in this week for, of course, labs. So there's a blood draw, and
Okay.
then they collect saliva.
Wow. Wow. Good.
Yeah.
That's exciting. But how many people are part of the study? Do you have any idea? Did they?
You know what? I don't know. That one I don't know. I'm also a part of another study at this center, and it's called the All of Us Research Program.
Okay.
And that is also to find out why certain ailments affect certain people more than others. And what sparked that was COVID. Why one person with COVID was intubated and on a ventilator and the next person wasn't.
Right.
There was no
Right.
rhyme or reason why. And so this
Yeah.
researcher out of Vanderbilt wanted to learn more about that. And so that one has thousands of people across the country.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
neat that
exciting.
you're helping with those. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, and as a woman, I find it very important to be a part of these studies.
Yeah. Yeah. I
These
just think yeah, we need more information, right? And
we do.
getting,
We need to know
getting,
why. So
yeah,
be a part of the solution.
there you go. I love it. What a pleasure, Emily. Thank you so much for being on the show. And we'll make sure that we get all those show notes and people can find you and get that ebook resource. And that when you find out more information about your studies, you'll have to come back on and share when you get some information on those results.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The Connect study these both are going on for decades. So,
Gotcha.
but some
Might
of
take
them
a
have
while,
had
huh?
some interesting, yeah, some of them have had some interesting results already.
Really
Like
fun.
like shocker, COVID was in the US before it was announced.
Yeah.
I
Imagine,
think we knew
imagine
that
that.
already, but
Right. That's hilarious. What a pleasure. Thank you, Emily.
awesome, Rob. Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah, have a nice afternoon. Signing off
You
on the I Am
too.
Pain Free podcast. As many of you know, my focus at the I Am Pain Free podcast is help as many people get pain free as possible. And we strive to use all natural and alternative therapies to accomplish that goal. Well, today I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary product that aligns perfectly with our mission of natural health and well-being. It's called Exodus by Exodus Strong. At Exodus Strong, their mission is to help you break free from the grip of big pharma and embrace natural solutions that promote vibrant health. With a foundation rooted in the wisdom of the Bible, the all-natural supplement harnesses the power of 7 key ingredients specifically mentioned in the scriptures. The flagship product Exodus is designed to be transformational, providing benefits such as energy enhancement, stress relief, blood sugar stabilization, pain relief, and anti-inflammation. So join the movement, right, to help them get 1 million new people to read the Bible every day and transform their health naturally. When you purchase Exodus, use code IAPF at checkout to receive a special free gift with your order. It's time to exit the old you and step into a new chapter of vitality and well-being. To get there, you go to exodusstrong.com. So it's Exodus, EXODUSSTRONG.com. And check out and use that IAPF for the I Am Pain Free podcast. And then you'll experience the benefits of the Exodus mineral blend. This mineral blend is amazing. It's got the molecular hydrogen generating formula that's backed by hundreds of scientific studies. So begin your journey feeling great and looking great. Don't miss the opportunity to take control of your health with the all natural way. So go check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it.